Managing an IP-diverse SEO network starts out simple, but scaling up to dozens or hundreds of domains introduces real operational stress. Eventually, every agency hits a wall where current infrastructure lags, and you have to decide if it is time to upgrade to a dedicated server. Most buyers assume that paying the premium for a dedicated SEO server buys them access to a better, more exclusive pool of IP addresses. That assumption is false. The IP layer is completely identical across all tiers, regardless of how much you pay each month. This diagram illustrates the reality. Whether you are on a $40 VPS or a $200 dedicated machine, you pull from the exact same inventory of over 800 Class C subnets. Both tiers use the same one-click IP manager tool, and neither tier forces you to share an address with another account. The hardware model driving those IPs determines the total load your network can sustain. Buying a dedicated server just to get better IPs burns cash for no return. The correct approach is to calculate exactly how much raw hardware isolation your specific domain count demands. To figure out your hardware requirements, we have to look at the actual variable separating these tiers, the physical model beneath your network. The SEO VPS runs on KVM virtualization. You get guaranteed resources, but they sit on a shared physical host. The bare metal dedicated server eliminates the hypervisor layer entirely. Every CPU cycle and gigabyte of RAM belongs exclusively to your account. That hypervisor layer on the VPS has an operational cost. Even though your CPU cores are protected, the underlying physical machine still has to schedule CPU time across multiple competing virtual instances. During basic publishing tasks, this scheduling overhead remains invisible. But when you run heavy, concurrent SEO tasks, like simultaneous site audits across hundreds of domains, that scheduling queue becomes a massive bottleneck. Choosing the correct tier requires matching this hardware reality directly against your active domain count and the specific automated workloads you run daily. Let's break this down by scale. The first segment is the bootstrapper, or small network builder, operating under 75 active domains. At this level, the typical workload is highly predictable. You are managing standard WordPress installations, running scheduled off-peak content updates, and processing basic staggered link acquisition. Because the resource demands are low and spaced out, an SEO VPS easily handles the load. The KVM hypervisor manages the traffic without triggering any resource contention. The VPS tier carries a direct financial advantage at this scale. Once you cross 50 IPs, the rate drops to $3.75 per address, the lowest in the entire catalog. This total cost of ownership scorecard maps out a standard 50 IP network. You combine a $60 base plan, $188 for the IP add-ons, and a $15 cPanel fee. That brings your entire multi-IP operation to just $263 a month. The limitation here is hidden in how you run your software. Cash flow is optimized, but if you suddenly try to execute simultaneous heavy crawls across all 50 domains at once, the KVM hypervisor will throttle your network. Fortunately, the VPS tier comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, giving a safety net to validate how your specific scripts and tools behave under these constraints. For networks under 75 domains, the VPS tier provides budget efficiency while you remain in the build and scale phase. The NAT changes when you enter the crossover zone, agencies managing between 75 and 150 active domains. The technical burden rises sharply here. Managing 100 web host manager accounts requires tracking individual DNS zones, MySQL databases, and email configurations. This creates a massive memory footprint before a single visitor even loads a web page. To manage that baseline resource ceiling, you have to upgrade to a maxed-out VPS 4 plan, which gives you 8 GB of RAM and 6 CPU cores. Look at this updated scorecard for a 100 IP network. The total cost for the maxed-out VPS sits at $525. Right next to it, the entry-level dedicated server totals $719. The financial gap is closing fast. That dedicated total factors in a higher $45 cPanel fee and a slightly higher IP rate of $4.75. Choosing the cheaper VPS route at this scale introduces a critical operational risk. You are operating at the absolute edge of your available RAM and CPU limits. When automated cron jobs, nightly backups, and live search traffic inevitably overlap, the virtualized hardware struggles to keep up, leading to severe server instability. Saving roughly $200 a month in the crossover zone trades financial efficiency for a direct vulnerability to performance bottlenecks. Finally, we reach the enterprise tier, large operations managing 150 to over 200 domains. The workload demands here are extreme. Agencies at this scale routinely run automated link verification scripts and full site audits across all their domains simultaneously, usually during peak hours. KVM virtualization breaks under this pressure. The hypervisor scheduling queues add microscopic per-thread delays. Under heavy concurrency, those delays compound, choking the server's input and output capacity. The only structural solution for this workload is an entry-level bare-metal dedicated server running an Intel Xeon processor. With dedicated physical cores and high base clock speeds, the server processes single-threaded crawler scripts directly on the silicon. There is no hypervisor queue, meaning I/O bottlenecks disappear completely. This final scorecard shows the financial reality at 200 IPs. You forfeit the cheapest IP rates and accept higher base fees, bringing the monthly total to nearly $1,200. The VPS isn't even an option here. It simply cannot meet the hardware specifications. This higher price point represents the baseline cost for predictable performance isolation at the enterprise scale. At the enterprise scale, paying the dedicated server premium is the only way to guarantee uptime and protect your client agreements during aggressive SEO operations. To finalize your decision, you need to map your exact position on this infrastructure timeline. Start with your active domain count. Under 150, go left. Over, go right. Next, are tasks scheduled off-peak, or are you running simultaneous automated crawls? Standard workloads flow to the VPS path. Heavy concurrency or large networks flow straight to the dedicated server. If your agency is in the build phase and your operations fit the VPS path, secure that plan. You will maximize your cash flow and secure the lowest per IP rate available. If you rely on continuous 24/7 crawler technology across your entire network, you must accept the necessary overhead costs of the dedicated path. The bare metal isolation is required for your tech stack to function. Choosing the right hardware removes technical volatility from your network. Predictable infrastructure keeps your sites loading fast and your crawlers running smoothly, protecting your search rankings and keeping your network visible to AI engines over the long term.